And there's a row of shops in there laid out the way they were. That's it, just there. Free to enter, last entry 3:45. Little gem, I think it is. So in these shops, there's things in there that I recognise from my granny's house. It's kind of cosy, it's lovely. I don't know anybody who's been in there and been disappointed. It's absolutely delightful. Donut shape, we wander around at your own speed. Safe play area for the kids in the middle, there's a tea room, and free. You know, what more could you wish for? Our social history, 1750 to today. In there. Now the walls coming up are complete for the first time ever. It started out as a wooden palisade, but then changed up for stone pretty quickly, obviously, because it's much more robust. And now it's complete, and it's wonderful. From there you've got the best view ever of the cathedral. You can see inside the castle, you've got the whole of Lincoln laid out before you, and the whole of the Witham Valley. You can see 40 miles from up there. And there's a plaque every so often saying what you can see from here, what happened here. So it's absolutely lovely. But you paid for that, unfortunately. But I think it's worth it. And this side of the bus was Hangman's Ditch. 1768, executions were done in public. But here in Lincoln, they were slowly strangled to death. They hauled you from the floor by your neck, and it's a pages to strangle. You could hire small boys to hang onto your legs and pull down, and that's hated that of it. And they were called hangers on. And it was a fellow from Horncastle who was actually a cobbler, and he invented the long drop, and he worked out that if the body fell far enough and fast enough, you'd snap your neck, which was much more humane. Not as much fun for the spectators, obviously, but can't tell it all. Unbelievable. The water tower behind us is much better. In the early 1900s, wow, watch out, that's a new one, sorry. In the early 1900s we had a typhoid epidemic in the city because the water was polluted. Killed 131, hospitalised 1,000. And so Reginald Bromfield designed a water tower there to bring fresh water to the city. And it comes from Nottinghamshire to there. Bromfield was an architect of some renown. You couldn't accuse him of a lightness of touch. But he was nonetheless quite popular at the time. Oh, look now. Look at that. That is Newport Arch with knobs on. Because half of it's below the ground, isn't it? If you remember. Half of that is below the ground. That little pedestrian bit to the side will be tall enough for a man on horseback to ride through. This is worth a wander round here. When you're on foot, this is worth a wander. This is the Bale Gate that I mentioned. The Bailey of Lincoln Castle, we call it Bale Gate. It's also part of Ermine Street, which is that very famous Roman road that went from York to London. And because Lincoln is so important, it goes right through the middle of the city. And the Roman cities were built on the grid pattern, a bit like the American cities are today. And so this bit would take you to the Forum, the town centre, where you would find the basilica and the shops. And a lot of these houses, this one here says Midlands Passage, have got Roman remains in the cellar. This one down here says it's got a Roman portico underneath. But basically we're littered with the stuff. And if you look in front of, on the path in front of Greg's, look at the pavement, you'll see circles of cobbles. And those circles, if you could find them, they go right the way down the middle of the road ahead under the flags. And that shows you where the pillars of the Forum were. So down there, 19 circles of cobbles, which shows you where the pillars of the Forum were. Roman well under glass, just here, dug by the 9th Legion. I think the 9th Legion more or less established Roman Lincoln. Leaves, we get leaves along here, fellas, just warning you. This gets a bit leafy. They're not branches, but they are. You don't want them poking you in the eye, really, do you? So that's the apse of a 6th century wooden church, marked in cobbles, just there. And this turret on the castle walls is called Cobb Hall, and that's where they took the hanging. So it's still public, obviously, but the public can't make a even when you left yourself, even if you went to the chapel, Each pew has a wooden baffle down either side and behind, so you can only see ahead and up there. The chaplain is stationed up there somewhere, so he can look down on his congregation, but you can't communicate anywhere you can run and see them. Unless, of course, you're about to be executed, and then there's a bench along the back where you can sit and chat. I mean, what we do, you know. But it's interesting. And if you watch Downton Abbey, anybody watch Downton Abbey? Yeah? Because the prison scenes are filmed in there. We, the locals, are travelling. They're diverted round the back. I mean, it's chaos. There's a tiny road with horse boxes, lorries, and kids and bikes. And, anyway, they've given up on that now. And the first race of the season, although it's called the Lincoln Handicap, it takes place in Doncaster. But the little flat bit there, which I'm hoping you can see, grassy bit, is where in the First World War they had a couple of little grass airstrips. You can just see the grey roof. About 46 airfields, I think, then. In fact, if you're out in your car and you see what might be a bit of runway in a farmer's field, that's exactly what it was. It was covered. And because we're on the eastern side of the country and it's flat, well-drained land, it's ideally suited for airfield. Now, in the First World War, going back a bit, there was an agricultural engineer in the city called Foster's. They made tractors and plows and things. And the MOD asked them if they could build a vehicle that would cope with the battlefields of the Somme, and be heavily armoured, have its own firepower, Caterpillar tracks, and it had to be top secret. So Foster sent Enviro to go, so that nobody would know what they were really doing. They told people they were building a water carrier for Mesopotamia. I don't know what Bright Spark thought of that. You can't keep saying water carrier for Mesopotamia. So the workers said, oh, we're building the water tank. And then that got short to tank. And that's how the tank gets its name. And it started here in Lincoln. At Foster's. And one of the very first tanks is up in the Museum of Lincolnshire Life. And she's called Daphne, which I think is a wonderful name for a tank. And her Caterpillar tracks envelop her. The whole thing, she's covered in Caterpillar tracks, if you like. Not just over the wheels at the bottom, as we have today. And she's very lovely. And we'll see a model of Daphne as we go on our tour. Because we're heading now to the really, really, really old part of Lincoln, can you believe? There's evidence of Iron Age settlement down here. It's the Linden Colonia and the Linden Colonia gives you Lincoln. So we started down here with the Iron Age, the Corial Tory tribe. And then we had the Romans. Now the Romans were great engineers, as we already know. And they linked this little marshy, swampy pool to the river system of the country. They built the Fosse-Dyke Canal, which joins the Brentford Pool to the River Trent at Torquay. 11 miles that way, River Trent. The River Trent flows, and so is By. We've got Swanholme, we've got Mablethorpe, we've got Saxelby or Saxelby. So we're still using Viking words. Now ahead on your left is the Brentford Pool, and going out toward the River Trent on your right is the Fosse-Dyke. It doesn't look much, massively important. Down there. Looks a bit gloopy at the moment because of the hot summer. And this is all the university. All around us now is all the university. I mean, this grows like topsy every year. We're not building planes and we're not building tanks anymore. But we've got 15,000 youngsters. We've got education, we've got research, we've got all the things that come with young people. We've got wine bars, coffee shops, and hotels for visiting families to stay in. And we've got a 24-hour McDonald's on the corner down here as well, which is obviously there for the union. I think that's one of the busiest McDonald's in the country, I'm told. It's always got a queue outside. But here is Daphne. And the last word, you have to bunch up a bit, yeah? Well, it's the same inside the cathedral. The last bit of vaulting is bunched up ever so slightly because they haven't left enough room for it. Absolutely lovely. Glorious building there. You can see a rose window. Under the central tower, you'll see a rose window. That is the bishop's eye. We'll get a close-up of that in a minute when we go near the cathedral, but it's absolutely marvellous. The one at the far end is the dean's eye, but the Bishop's Eye, I think it's a good one. The central car park here, on the left, locals call it the cheese grater, for obvious reasons. They call the police station Ryvita House. You have to go and have a look at that, but you'll see why. The River Witham, we're back to the River Witham again. To your right it goes out to the sea, to your left it goes to High Bridge and the Glory Hole, and you'll see the present that Seaman made to the city. It's called Empowerment, it's a municipal statue. Down there, see it? Just a glimpse in amongst the trees. Yes, it's 9 metres high, and it's supposed to be, it looks like 2 turbine blades to me, which is what they make actually, but that's really where it's heading off. Present to the city. This is St Swithin's Church. I love St Swithin. St Swithin was a very holy man, very good man, and for some reason he wanted to be buried outside where the sun would shine, the rain would rain, the weeds would go and people would walk. That's what he wanted. But his followers thought he was too holy for that.